Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so grateful to be here today. We just came off of the holidays, right? And now we're into February. And how many of you have actually stayed on track with your actual resolutions? I don't like to call them resolutions, but how many of you have stayed on track with them, right? You have all these goals, but is there a strategy behind it to actually stay on track? And that's what I want to talk about to you today, because the truth is so many of us actually have these goals, and the new year comes around and we're going to create all this change, right? But the reality is that we may not have had the steps in order to make those changes, right? So I want to talk today all about sugar cravings and inflammation and really step into it. So you tell yourself just one more bite, but before you know it, you're stuck in the same cycle. The crash, the crash being the low energy, the cravings, the frustration, you're actually not alone. Who has told themselves in the audience, just one more bite? I'll only eat one more bite. Drop it in the chat and let me know, for those of you that are live with me. And if you're not live with me, then drop it in the chat once you actually listen to the replay, right? So I also want to know, what is your biggest go-to? What is your biggest craving around sugar? Type it below. Why does this matter? Because sugar cravings are not about willpower. They are about biological responses that we can reverse. So today I want to talk about getting to the root cause so that you can break free from the sugar addiction. Who is in for that? Like, let's break free from sugar addiction, because sugar is causing inflammation. It feeds cancer. And then you'll say, well, what does inflammation really mean, Dr. Danya? It means like joint pain. You could have headaches. You could have bloating, right? So let's talk about the science behind sugar cravings. Why do you crave sugar? Because sugar activates our brain reward system, releasing dopamine, which is your feel-good hormone. And the more you eat, the more your brain demands it, right? It gets that dopamine hit and that feel-good hit. So I want to ask you, have you ever felt like sugar is controlling you? Type me in the chat if you can relate. Okay, great. I see you. Because it's true. It begins to be like you're at your desk, or you're headed to the store, or you're going to pick up your children. And all of a sudden, like, you're hearing like, sugar, I'd love a cookie right now. I'd love some chocolate right now, right? And so you get in this cycle of cravings. It's this, what I call this sugar roller coaster ride. It's a spike, a crash, and you need more. So let's talk about sugar. What it does is it actually spikes your blood sugar, and then insulin surges out of the pancreas. Then the blood sugar crashes and your cravings come on again. So it becomes this vicious cycle. And this cycle actually leads to brain fog and fatigue and irritability. How many of you are suffering from any of that? Right? Yeah, because it's this cycle back and forth. Do you feel like in the audience that you're in a slump in the afternoon where you need sugar or caffeine? Drop ZZZ in the chat if the answer is yes, because that is where your blood sugar begins to drop, and you probably want to take a nap, which you would naturally want to do, but instead you're like, your body's like, what could I eat to get me through this energy throughout the day, right? So that's what I want to talk about next, the cortisol sugar connection. Stress equals sugar cravings, because cortisol makes you reach for quick energy. So guess what? That chronic stress that you're in, it leads to weight gain, and belly fat storage, as well as like could be like pain in your joints and inflammation throughout your body because it has to go somewhere. So, who in the chat feels like your cravings get worse when you are actually stressed out? Type stress in the chat. So, sugar fuels inflammation. And so chronic inflammation, this month is all about heart disease. And so that's why I want to talk about sugar. And we've got Valentine's Day coming up, right? So chronic inflammation, chronic sugar and whatnot leads to heart disease. It can lead to high cholesterol. It can diabetes and even cancer. So I test with my patients because the research shows that sugar increases your C-reactive protein, and that's an inflammatory marker. I also test the HSCRP, which is highly sensitive C-reactive protein, which is related to the heart. So if you're an individual that's feeling bloated or stiff or inflamed after eating sugar, type inflamed, right? Because that bloated and that stiffness, and maybe you're not getting in enough water, there could be other factors. But today, I just really want to talk about sugar and how that sugar connection is. So, when we actually really step into that sugar challenge and that sugar cycle, it's like your body wants more. So, I want to talk about how sugar also affects the immune system. So if you're eating about 100 grams of sugar, which is like a soda and one cookie, this can suppress your immune function for up to 5 hours. That's why at the beginning of the year, I see a lot of people come in with sickness because they've been eating things that they typically don't eat. They've been probably eating too much starches and their sugars, and then their immune system gets weakened, and then they're stressed out because they've had so much stress over the holidays. They're coming off of that. So that's going to weaken your body's ability to fight infection and actually destroy any precancerous cells, right? So sugar and weight gain go hand in hand. So excess sugar can cause weight gain. The body fat produces estrogen, and that estrogen can fuel certain cancers. So I know that research from Harvard School of Public Health confirms that obesity increases the risk of 13 types of cancer. Why am I bringing cancer in here? Because it's scary. It's everywhere. I hear about it every day at my clinic, and I get phone calls about it, and I'm always constantly talking to people about it. Just yesterday at my family's house, dear friends of ours, the husband is in his 70s and he's found out that he has prostate cancer. It's just everywhere, right? So, lastly, I really want to talk about how do you naturally eliminate sugar cravings and heal your body? Because that's really what we want to know. Because if we're stuck in the sugar cravings, like I polled all of you and I asked you when you're having crashes throughout the day, then your next step is like, well, Dr. Donahue, what can I do to actually eliminate sugar cravings to heal my body? So one of my favorites is always going to be nutrition, right? You know, many of you, I talk about nutrition, balancing blood sugar with protein and healthy fats. So you need insulin for protein and carbohydrates. But we also know that protein will satiate you and keep you more balanced throughout the day, whereas a simple starch or carb can spike your sugar and drop you quite quickly. Why does this work together? Why do these two macronutrients used together work? Because it keeps your blood sugar stable and it helps you reduce sugar spikes. You do not need insulin for fat. So when I think of some really good foods that could help you that include protein and healthy fats, we can look at eggs, grass-fed meats, nuts and seeds, avocados. We could also think of some flax seeds and chia seeds. So, what is the morning trick that I tell my patients to start their morning with? They always want to start their morning out with a protein and a fat, not a carb. The other thing is you want to eat within 1 hour of waking. So you're not like starving the body long term, unless you're doing a fast, right? So that is a trick that I have patients do where they start their day with protein and a fat. And if you need a carb, be conscientious of the carbs. But if you have insulin resistance and sugar imbalances, then protein and fats is the way to go. Then think about cutting out hidden sugars and replace them with other options. Like hidden sugars are all around us. If we're somebody that eats processed foods, salad dressings, like sauces, yogurts, protein bars, right? It's everywhere. So I know when I start first talking to patients about reading the labels of what they're eating, they are so shocked that sugar isn't everything because they had no idea. And one of the best ones that always comes to mind is like ketchup. People had no idea that there's sugar in ketchup. So you can think about swapping out some of the natural sweeteners, like you could use monk fruit, stevia, or even cinnamon. Cinnamon helps you blunt your sugar response. So those are options to actually look up, but start to be aware of where these hidden sugars are coming in so that you can make changes. Then number 3, manage your stress to lower your cortisol and help you truly stop your sugar cravings. So the stress sugar cycle, high stress equals high cortisol equals sugar cravings. Who gets that? Drop a me or drop an I get it in the chat, right? So how do you break that? We can use deep breathing like we've talked about quite consistently, where you're going to inhale for 4, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then exhale out for 8. Why is that important? That's automatically telling the brain and the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, to step into a more relaxed state, right? So that you're not living in that high stress. You can also think about taking magnesium. Many individuals are deficient in magnesium, and it really helps relax your blood vessels. It helps with stress relief in total. And we need magnesium for so many different pathways, biochemical pathways, without getting into strong medicine here, but we need it through so many pathways, including like blood sugar stabilization. Adaptogens that I think about as well that can help with stress are like ashwagandha, schisandra, rhodiola, but you really want to know what you're taking. So I'm not diagnosing and treating here and telling you like if you're stressed, go take these herbs. So always know what you're taking and what the contraindications are with your health, because that is what is the utmost important. The other thing we think about is healing the gut to stop your sugar addiction. Why does this work? Because if your gut and your microbiome is getting what it needs and you're not feeding it with sugar, because sugar feeds bacteria and it creates more cravings, we want to stop that sugar addiction by starting to heal the gut and give the gut what it actually needs. Does that make sense? Drop a yes in the chat if that's making sense to you. Okay. So what to eat? What do I think about? I think about fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut or pickles. There's so many different fermented foods out there. I see them in the grocery stores and I make them myself. You can also do probiotic rich foods like yogurt and miso and tempeh. And yogurt only makes sure that you do okay with dairy. And then also prebiotic fibers. I think of like garlic and onions and bananas. I even think of like chia seeds as well. And your vegetables are so important for your gut microbiome, right? So you want to make sure that you're feeding the body what it needs. So drop a this makes sense in the chat if that's what you are seeing and understanding with what I'm teaching here. I will tell you that sleep will deeply reset your hormones. And I will be honest with you, I did not sleep well last night, so I'm a little bit off my game. Oftentimes, lack of sleep will create more sugar cravings. For me, I have chosen not to eat sugar and drink alcohol, so I don't necessarily have cravings, but I have to manage my energy today because I didn't get the sound sleep that really works for me. And I know that about myself. So I know what I get to do in order to balance out my nervous system and not push myself today. Like take time to restore. Some nutrients that are key for sleep, magnesium comes up for me again, chamomile tea. I have a great sleep program that is on the website that is amazing, that can take you through different ways to look at ways to sleep and to create a sleep ritual, create a sleep healthy bedroom. And so when I think about that program, when I built it, it's actually what I do with my patients. So I'll drop the link in the chat. It's simplehealthnh.com. And what it actually does is it actually teaches you how to create a sleep ritual, right? So for example, or you could call it a sleep routine. I would say no screens. I would say 2 to 3 hours before bed. The research does say 1 hour before bed, but I would say 2 to 3 hours before bed. You want to keep your room cool and dark. You don't want to keep it hot. As you can see, I'm in New England, so it's a little cold here. I have a heavy sweater on. And you want to avoid eating any sugar before bedtime. Why? Because you can have a drop in sugar and that can wake you up. And a lot of people don't realize that, right? So if they don't get enough healthy fats in, then that can actually cause their blood sugar to drop and that can cause them to wake up. Watch how much liquids you actually drink before you go to bed, because getting up throughout the night can disrupt your sleep, and you want to get really good deep REM sleep so that you can help reset your hormones. And also remember, when you sleep, you actually heal, right? So your brain actually detoxes, your body gets into a parasympathetic state, and your body can regenerate and balance your hormones and reset them. So it's so important. And actually, that can actually help you burn fat when you reset your hormones at night. So it's so key to actually sleep soundly. And then lastly, what I want to talk about is making sure that you drink enough water throughout the day, not right before bed, but you get in enough liquid, which is half of your body weight in ounces of water, because dehydration can actually mimic sugar cravings. So I tell patients that if they're feeling hungry, right, then think about drinking some water or something before they actually eat something, because your thirst mechanism and your craving mechanism is so close in the brain. So you might not know the difference. So you might really be thirsty and a little bit more dehydrated than you would need sugar or food. So make sure that, again, that you're getting half of your body weight in ounces of pure quality water. Please stop drinking out of plastic bottles. Plastic bottles, research came out, plastics release plastics into the water, and then that is getting into the cardiovascular system and causing clogging, these little tiny microplastics. So I suggest that you carry around a bottle that is like stainless steel or glass that you can carry your water in. And you can also add in like electrolytes, like good quality sea salt. If you want a little bit of coconut water, there's mineral drops out there. There's all sorts of ways to actually get electrolytes in, because many people are cutting back on salt because we're told salts are not good for us, but we really do need salts for our body to run. So now that you truly understand sugar's impact on cravings and energy, what's one step that you can take today? I want to know. Drop it in the chat. What is one step out of everything that I just simplified? I wanted to make this live super easy. What is one step you can take today? And what is your biggest sugar craving struggle? Let me know in the comments. What are you struggling with the most? So that I really know where my audience is at. And who's really ready to take control of their health and break free from sugar? Who's ready? Because the truth is you don't have to fight cravings. You just have to give your body what it needs. When you do, meaning giving your body the proteins and fats and vegetables that it needs, the cravings disappear. I have so many patients say to me, "Oh my gosh, Dr. Donahue, I didn't realize it was going to be easy if I stuck the course." But the key is actually when you're sticking the course, you also want to think about, like, it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks for the brain to actually change, and it takes 3 months for the body to actually change, right? So it's key to stay on course. And the other thing that is really key is to actually have accountability with myself and my team, where we can actually support you through the process. And keep an eye out, because I want to say that I am looking to do a blood sugar challenge in March. And I love doing these because so many people get results. And that, as you know, my story is I've been right where you are. And we don't have to be in this sugar cycle. We get to be empowered and have real life strategies that we can break free from sugar, get our energy, and protect your long-term health. And I am here guiding you through that process. And I'm just so grateful that you're here with me today. And I am sending you so much love and so much connection. And let's start breaking free from your sugar. Re-listen to this and listen to the steps of how you can actually, I went through 6 different steps of how you can actually stop your sugar cravings. But you have to be patient, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be consistent. Because the truth is motivation's going to leave you in a moment. You're going to be out with friends. You're going to want a piece of cake or a cookie, or your energy's waxing and waning, and that dopamine hit's going to come in, and you're going to want some more sugar, right? So the best way to do it is really stay connected to what your goals are. And like we started with in the very beginning, what is your strategy to get there? Like, what is your goal for 2025 to become the healthiest version of yourself? And do you have those steps in place to actually make it happen? Drop in the chat and let me know. And join our community and stay connected with us. And really, we're here to help you each and every step of the way. I am sending you so much love again on this amazing day. And be cautious who and how much Valentine's Day candy you are buying, because we may think we're being kind, but maybe you can find something else other than sugar. Have an amazing day. And thank you so much for joining me.